Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Crook County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is Wednesday, September the 24th, 2025, and it's 9 o'clock a.m. So we'll start off with any public comment. Any public, no public. Online, anybody like to make a public comment? Please type in your chat box and we'll unlock it. Seeing none, we'll move along with the discussion items. Number one is request for limited OHV access from Brasada Ranch Resort to the BLM road system. And Matthew Miller is here to present. Matt?
Thank you. Have you guys have this with the photos and stuff? All right, great. Good morning,
Let me help you out here
Yeah.
a little bit to start it.
Yeah.
Matt called me about a month ago.
Yep.
And has a company that recreation company that operates. I'll let you get into that part, but what he's
Yeah.
interested in is having access to some BLM property from Brasada. And it requires driving on the road about 1.2 miles.
Yep.
To get to that access point. So Will Ben Doctor has done some research. I've done some communications and research, and Matt's here to tell us what his ideas are.
Yeah, so we operate ATV tours, as well as snowmobile tours in the winter up in the National Monument. And we were recently approached by Brasada Ranch to partner in adding recreational opportunities to their guests. That was in early April. So we have all the BLM permitting in place to operate in the Milliken OHV area. And then there is a BLM road that comes in to Alfalfa Road, about 1.2 miles from their equestrian center, which is where we have our equipment stored, a fueling, washing station, all of the stuff that we need to operate tours out of there. I had a whole thing to follow here, but basically, what we're hoping to do and what Brasada Ranch is hoping to accomplish is the tours depart from their equestrian center. We would go 1.2 miles down Alfalfa Road and turn left onto a BLM access road that ties into the Milliken OHV system. And on the second,
He has some.
You want me to pull it up on the?
Yeah,
document?
just put it up.
Okay, you can see it.
Are they on, when you take it in, are they on the side by side?
Correct, they're all side by side.
So your employees are driving the side by side?
They're leading the group and
And
the
then-
guests are driving the side, their own side by side, correct? And so we're part of Polaris, it's called Polaris Adventures Elite. They ensure the activities through Polaris. We have to meet certain safety standards to be a part of the program, and then we lease all new vehicles every season, so.
Is this what you want?
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is the map, this is the part of Alfalfa Road that we would be traveling on if approved. In the upper left-hand corner is their equestrian center. And that's the entrance that we would utilize. Our equipment is staged kind of right near that location. And so we would turn out right, go down that long straightaway, and then there's kind of a corner down there and just past, I believe it's Searles Road, or Stearns Road. There's a dirt BLM road that we would take a left on there. And then the tour would kind of take place out in the Milliken OHV area, and then we would return that way as well. And then the next slide down, this is the ingress and egress of those. The top is where we would pull out from Brasada's location, which has good visibility down that straightaway and all the way around that corner. And then to the right is a long straightaways, we have good visibility there. And then the lower photos are the ingress and egress of the BLM access. So looking left, it's hard to see in this photo, but you can see up around that whole corner and where it comes out up on top of the plateau. And then looking right is a straightaway as well, so there's no visibility in and out of those intersections, or where we'd be making the turn is pretty good. And then scrolling down, these are the specific vehicles that we have for this location.
Nice.
More like a Jeep than an
I was gonna
ATV.
say, that doesn't look like the place I have at the ranch.
Yeah. Yeah, heat and AC, GPS, reverse cameras, pretty much anything you'd find in a standard vehicle. They do have running lights. This particular model also has a rear differential that can be put in a single wheel drive, like turf mode or something you would see on like a standard automobile, so they're not kind of like ratcheting when you turn onto pavement or anything like that. And obviously is easy to drive as a vehicle, essentially.
Is there kind of quite a bit of demand? I mean, when the people come, do they like?
Yeah, so right now we have our primary summer location is out, it's west of Sisters on the Mackenzie Highway. We run 20 vehicles out there currently. We do about 700. Some of those are from another location, but total, we do about 700 experiences a summer. And to my knowledge, everyone has a lot of fun. We're 5-star reviews on all of our platforms. It's a lot of, there's kind of a seasonality to it. Early spring is, we try to get the spring vacation crowd, and then it kind of goes into wedding parties and stuff that are getting married in summer. And then summer months is a lot of families on vacation as soon as school is out. And then in the fall, we do a lot of corporate events, team building events, Meta, Fortis Construction, Pape Machinery, they're kind of our regulars. And this location particularly is nice because it has an earlier kind of opening season because of the elevation. Where we're at in Sisters, we can't operate until late May usually because of snow. And then with the Versada location, we can operate a little bit later into the year. So it kind of bridges that gap of when we're shut down in Sisters, waiting for snow for our snowmobiles to start up at Newberry National Monument. Even though, I mean, we intend on running this location from about March to sometime in November would be ideal.
So my other question, fire suppression,
Mhm.
do you stay on dirt roads in the BLM, or do you ever go off
No, so it's all on
dirt roads?
BLM routes. So the permitting process with them is pretty extensive of our routes, and of course, we have to follow all fire regulations or restrictions. So in the summer, we would follow any fire restrictions similar to how anyone else would need to follow those. Which mainly revolves around vegetation in the trail or roadway, which out there in particular, there's really none because Co-ops maintains and blades all those trails. And we'll probably, at our other locations, we also have road maintenance agreements, so we can go in and do trail work and stuff like that if there's any impacts or anything. Usually it's in the form of washboard and some sandy material. But we'll go in and fix all that through a road maintenance agreement.
Jim DeBoot made a comment. Have they obtained the appropriate permits from BLM for operation on public lands as a guided service? They need approval, but NRAC has not heard of this.
We do have our special use permit with the BLM.
They do have it, Tim, if you didn't hear that.
Did you hear, Tim?
I can unmute them.
I did, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Well, I was gonna ask law enforcement what they thought of the clearance on the roads and things.
So there is an OHV system out there that we are aware of. The one concern that I have would be some unintended consequence and increased call volume for us with some surrounding landowners. That would be,
Particularly, are you familiar with the road that we'll be accessing from Alfalfa?
oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's just before the county line.
Yeah, I don't know the road number offhand, but, is it Searles or Stearns Road?
Well, Stearns Road is blocked with a gate, and then the BLM put in an additional access point down below.
Yep.
But, the guy that has a BLM permit in there,
Mhm.
and the grazing permit and then surrounding landowners, I think we're gonna have some unintended consequences and a drastic increase in calls for service for us.
That's where we've had trouble before.
Mhm.
Have you done any of these tours at all? This is brand new.
Brand new, yeah. I mean, we
So-
went out and route planned and done all of the
Sure.
preliminary, like, emergency response, what we would.
So my question to you, Bill, and I know you're gonna think, so you have this guy, he's got his grazing things, and we understand that there's issues there. But if BLM permits it, I agree, you're gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're kind of held hostage a little bit, because this is something that BLM is requiring and should be discussed between the leasee and the grantor or what lesser, or whatever the terms are. You know what I'm saying? And I agree, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what he's trying to do or anything like that. I'm
No,
just
I
saying
know.
that there's
You are,
some unintended consequences here in the future, I'm afraid.
oh, definitely. And that's a considerate, but again, that isn't on,
It's not on him and it's not,
no, he's the
Yeah.
public.
Yep.
BLM has authorized it. My two things were precedents. You know, that we set a precedent, and now I think I can just drive my Polaris down the road, and my second was liability, which Will, I think, is on top of. We discussed all of that, so I have no problem. But I do agree with you, but again, isn't that the responsibility of BLM to take care, but I understand we've had incidents.
correct,
We're like in a
correct, and
shady, so BLM should have taken that into consideration before they released a permit, or should have taken him in and suspended the lease or do whatever BLM is gonna do.
whatever.
A lot of those problems, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, have been from hunting or trespass.
Trespassing, is the biggest piece. It's, even on BLM ground. And I don't know this to be true or not, but I also know that it's, supposedly non-motorized, or one person believes it's a non-motorized area. And,
That's the point.
has taken action to
Yeah.
do things.
And
on
now
that.
you have 5 Polarises blowing through, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's not, no hunting that I'm aware of. It's all just straight, just trespass.
Lisa online did make a comment from the BLM standpoint, as long as the SRP holder follows the BLM rules. For example, entering and exiting the OHV trail system at an authorized entrance, we're good.
They're gonna work with the permitting.
Yeah, and as far as potential, landowners, I know the Hidden Canyon.
Yeah, I was
Estate.
gonna ask you, is that where you're kind of going in right there?
Yeah, so I
How
work
are
with
they?
Jerry Jones, who is kind of leading that project. He was actually on the meeting when we met with the BLM, and he was pushing for it as well.
Well, because they'll tie into it, I would assume. down the road.
Exactly, yeah, well, down the road, when they get to that point, we'll serve their.
Will has his hand raised as well, so.
Good morning. I just had a quick question for Matt. I think this has been clarified, but I just kind of want to reiterate it. It sounds like you'll be using designated OHV routes for your tours, correct?
Yeah, so the tours take place in the Milliken OHV system. The road that accesses it was something that was added additionally in the permit. And there was discussion of a right-of-way agreement, multiple, well, two different ways to utilize that. But yeah, the tour itself will take place in the OHV area.
So will any of these people in a Polaris be left on their own? There will
No.
always be a guide with them, so they won't just be able to turn left and go
Correct.
Hill and Dale.
Yeah, all of these experiences will be guided. The way it works, we link all of the GPSs together as well, so the guide can see all
Where
the
they are.
vehicles and where they're at all times, as well as communicate directly through the
Radio.
screen on the dash. So yeah, if anyone takes a wrong turn or is stopped or something like that, they're usually pretty responsive to like, hey, what's going on? You know, as far as any of our other operating areas, we haven't really had any issues with someone taking a wrong turn before they realize they're not behind the group, either because of the GPS or they're like, or the dust go, or, you know, they realize that they're not with the group. So they keep a pretty close eye on the vehicles as they're following them through their route.
When you talk about property owners, is there a lot of drift between, is the fences good or nobody maintains them, or how does that work? It is what it is, if
Yeah.
the elk go through or whatever, yeah.
I mean, some of them have more attention than others.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, as I know, when we went out and the guides kind of planned their routes and stuff, because there's multiple gates you go through. Those all seem to be in pretty good shape as far as several of them were steel posts. I mean, really solid, good gates. And obviously, I would understand the concern of general public or potential like unguided groups not understanding the importance of closing the gates and why they're there. But in this case, our guide will be the one opening the gate, getting people through and closing any gates that need to be closed. So I don't foresee that as being an issue.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with what Matt's trying to do. I think it's good of all approaches, economic benefit. I think it's good for Casada. I think it's good for his business. And he's got the permits and the necessary things that the county has concerns about, answer those questions. I think if commission agrees, then next step would be legal to come up with some avenues and approaches for doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Bill, totally. But I don't know, again, it's kind of, if we can cover our liability and we can cover our that if it was only people with permit, or I don't know, Eric, how you place it, but that we're not setting a precedent. You know, there,
That may just be the price you pay.
to set that precedent.
Yeah, cause I mean, you hit the nail on the head. If this company on this stretch of road is able to do it,
Why
why
can't
isn't someone
everybody?
else on some other stretch of road for their own business? Why isn't a farmer able to drive over the road on a ATV going from one field to another? So it may be that during the drafting process, we look at this and we say, there's really no way to say only this company, only this stretch of road.
I guess you haven't been applying and we drive it all the time, but
it's actually legal.
yeah, is it, what
It
is the
is.
legality of it?
For farmers,
Yeah,
if you're engaged in active agricultural
Then you're
use, you
okay.
can ride your four-wheeler down the highway. As long as you have a slow-moving vehicle triangle on your four-wheeler.
oh. Didn't know that. We need to get a slow moving vehicle outside, but anyway, but that is my question is precedent, that now someone decides. So it's my understanding too, you can make those street legal, can't you?
I don't know. I've
Not,
seen some with license plates,
Randy's
but
what-
I don't
nodding
know.
his head, yeah.
not in Oregon particularly. I serve on the Oregon State, Oregon, grants, ATV grants committee and safety committee. There's a lot of legislation to try and make a pathway forward, especially for rural counties. A lot of rural counties have just opened either all of their county roads except for some, or they'll open certain roads that have recreational value. But none of that is through like a state licensing,
So-
process.
And that's on the, so is that something that we could do, that we only make that 1.2 miles there? Is that a legal thing that we can put in there? Again, like I say, precedent is what worries me.
I don't know that Brasada particularly would want general, cause
Well,
it's,
no,
'cause it's
they're
only
not.
to their.
Yeah, they're not going to
Western
want to,
center.
but again, I'm just concerned that it opens up other county roads. Is there any way that we can write that in, that it is this specific? That Will and I discussed it, Will's got his hand up, that
Yeah.
they have a
Yeah,
permit, so let's let Will talk, cause he knows my concern.
Go ahead, Will.
Thank you. I'd be hesitant to single out one company or one stretch of road. My feeling is if the commission wants to proceed with exploring this, we should look at drafting a narrowly kind of tailored ordinance that would allow a company like Octane access to public land so long as the stretch of county road that they need to use is limited to a mile, 2 miles, whatever it reasonably needs to be. I think there's always going to be the risk that people see use of the road by a company like Matt's or another one and think, oh, ATVs must be allowed on county roads. And I know Commissioner Hermrich, we talked a little bit about potential liability attached to that. And I'll let county council speak to that risk, but I think for purposes, if we want to pursue this, I would feel most comfortable if we just had a narrowly tailored ordinance that allowed this type of use in very specific circumstances. That allowed, where the goal is to get to a designated trail system on public land, and that stretch of our road, the county road that they need to use is limited. And then we have other protections in there regarding insurance to limit liability and otherwise protect the general public from any potential conflicting use. I don't know if that directly answers your question, Commissioner Hermrich, but that would be my vision if you wanted to move forward.
I agree with your vision, Will. I agreed yesterday and I still agree today, because so I guess what we do is direct staff to try to come up with that ordinance, and then we look at it again, and then that's our final decision, don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yep.
And I don't know, do we need a motion, or is that just,
I don't
we
think you need a
discussed it,
motion
we
at
direct
this point.
staff?
One question I have is what kind of priority should this be given?
I think that you have a lot of things going on, and I think what you have going on are probably more important than this right at the moment, but what is your deadline, Matt, for getting this?
I wouldn't say that we necessarily have a deadline. If, we definitely intend or would hope to operate all of next, spring,
Okay,
summer.
Okay, yeah, you're
If
looking really.
if we could operate this fall, we would obviously love to, but we'll we're flexible in that sense.
Yeah, I think we're pretty jammed, packed up and legal, so. Does that answer your question?
So what I think I heard is it's not high enough priority that it will dislodge some of the other things we're currently got in the queue.
Right.
Was that fair?
That's very fair, Eric. Okay, well, I think we just go from there and do that, and like I say, you know my concerns, Will knows my concerns, so we work to see what we can work with.
And Bill, I understand you're totally, because I understand what the situation is up there. I don't know, is this is gonna make it worse? It might temporarily, but then I think it will level itself out. But whatever happens up there would cause the same problem.
No, and I understand, I
And
just
it's
want,
not their problem, it's that problem up there.
I don't disagree, sir.
And unfortunately, public lands are seeing way more pressure. And you see that, so I just went back to Washington and that's what we were doing was PILT and SRS, and that's what everyone, all the commissioners that I was with from Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Nevada. Your pressure on your public lands is increasing because since COVID, there's a desire, and what the biggest thing is it's unprepared people. And so here you have a prepared situation, and again, I get the problem, but you're taking people that have some sort of preparation, which is a better way than just turning them loose.
Yeah, and I'm not indicating not to do it, I just
Oh,
wanted to
I
bring up the fact that this might have some unintended consequence in the short term, right up front. But I also agree with knowing what's going on out there, that it is probably gonna level out, so.
And I think I visited with the sheriff about it, one of his, he had two concerns, establish a precedence, and secondly was that there is some way to identify those vehicles. So, the deputies, if they see them, and know that they have permission to be on duty.
Yeah, and we're happy if it's a decal or, you know, whatever makes the most sense we're happy to work with the county on making sure that that's easy to identify. All of our machines are identical, as well, so it's pretty easy to tell whether it's you got a group of friends out riding or it's our operation, which everything's the same, as far as the machines go.
And I also spoke with our road department, and they're not objecting to it at all. They would prefer you ride on the road than on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And they will look look into the signing, and so there are signs available and
Yeah.
posted, so people know that they're going to be on that highway for that stretch period.
Yeah.
And that might be something that we put into that, the signs is a very good idea, that we put in that we're gonna have slow moving vehicles, or however those signs would be.
Yeah, I know,
Not necessarily that those are slow moving, because that
Right.
speedometer goes to 120. Whoever takes it up to that is really scary.
yeah, yeah, and I know there is some degree of signage available through Oregon State Parks and Rec. I've worked on a lot of projects with them, with Oregon State opening sections of roads, and so they have, you know, ATVs on roadway. I think that can go, I think it's good to identify that with motorists, but I think you can also get into an area where the general public recreating could think
Oh,
it's okay, you know,
Okay.
since it's signed, so I don't know where that
Is that-
balance is, but, those are all options
That's a good
that,
point.
we could look into.
I'm gonna assume too that the operators of those are licensed individual.
Our guides,
Yes.
yeah, they all have first aid, CPR, good standing driver's licenses.
What do you do as far as screening who's driving it? I mean, do they have
Oh,
to
as
give
far
you
as
a
our
driver's
guests,
license?
yes,
Do they
yeah.
have to have some, or do they have to have insurance, or how does that work?
So
I'm a guest.
we provide driver liability insurance,
Okay.
or Polaris does.
Sure.
It's part of the insurance package that they can select when they're reserving the vehicle. But yes, they have to provide a valid driver's license. The way our system works, they take a photo of their ID that fills out the waiver, and then they have to fill out some additional information. Watch a safety video before they can even submit the waiver. And then when they get on site, we verify all their IDs, they watch the safety video again, go through a personal like orientation of the vehicle and what we're intending to do on the tour. And then they take off. And our legal requirements is they're 21 or older to drive, so
Okay,
even
like
if they're
renting a car.
16, yeah. They cannot drive, so it's gotta be 21 or older, or 25 or older if there's a minor in the vehicle.
I just have a quick question if I could. Will may have touched on this, but I heard him still talking about liability, but my question is the county road section is what I'm concerned about. The BLM, that's a different issue, that's public land and BLM has that right to do whatever they want with it, but on the county road, well, state law prevents from riding these vehicles on the county road or state highway. If you, as a county commission, grant a permit for them to drive on the county road, and that's a road that's used by motor vehicles, and there is a crash on that county road, are you allowing them to have a sanction for a permit to not abide by county or by state law? Does that leave the county in liability if something happens on the road and a crash, someone killed or injured? Does the county have a liability there?
Basically, because you superseded state law. Really,
I'm sorry?
basically because you superseded state law, the
That's
county
my
has.
question.
So does that, and that's a very good question, and so that's something we're gonna have to look into, again. It's all liability and precedence as far as I'm concerned. I think it's a great thing that you're doing. But it's all, those are my two things. I guess we see what shakes out.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, because I know the state themselves have open, allow access to ATVs on certain sections like Sumter and, I think over Lakeside, there's not a lot of examples, but I know they do. And then I don't know exactly how it works, but the state, I think, gives the county authority to make
They do
those
that.
decisions. I don't think it's a law that they say, what, and I could be wrong.
Okay.
But,
There are cities too that allow golf carts, things to drive around in the city, and that's because the city's created an ordinance that allows them to do it. And the state can't supersede it.
Yeah, well, this, like I say,
Similar
this
as
is,
the county, I think that's an option to look at.
we're gonna have to look
We'll
into
have
it.
to look into
yeah, and there's a lot of OHV county ordinance. And I can get a lot of examples of that and send over. Although it is much more broad than what we're talking about, because in most cases, they either opened all of their county roads, like Grant County, for example, except for, and then excluded some. Or in other counties like Baker was all roads, excluding some, but. And then some counties will open specific roads, but not abroad. So there's a few different ways they've done it, but that was more for just general recreation. To my knowledge, there's not an ordinance that's this specific. But I can pull all of that through Oregon State Parks and send over examples if it's helpful.
So Eric, can you give your contact to Eric, and then that, on those examples, you can work together? Would be, I think, would be the way to go. And now you've heard all the questions, so you know what we need answers for.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Sure. Okay. We have direction here.
Hey, thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you guys for the opportunity to present that.
And you sent me a lot of information and things,
Yeah.
I'll forward those on there, the contracts and things that you have with it.
Yeah, and if there's any changes that you would require or request, like for our safety SOP, our standard operating procedures, we're happy to modify that and however you see fit, that's just what we have. It's also what we had to submit to Polaris since they're insuring the activity. We have to meet their safety requirements, which oftentimes are more strict than land managers. But we can modify those to however, what would work for you guys as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Aaron,
Can you put his stuff up there as he's talking? Is that a good thing for you to do?
You want the
Every day.
Thank you.
biannual
Yeah, you
agreement?
put it up there, yeah. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Cheers, don't.
They don't make them big enough, do they?
Your vest and your accessories are not very good for
No, I'll
that.
just, yeah, I'm gonna stand because I'm not gonna fit.
How
in the
about that
chair.
chair behind you? That doesn't have sides. You don't have to worry about your hips on that.
There, we go. Okay.
Sorry, let me get to it, Erin.
Good morning, commissioners. What I'm here to do today is to present the biennial plan for the community corrections budget. This is going into the state biennium for 25-27. At the beginning of each biennium, the community corrections division is required to update their community correction plan of how we are going to allocate and spend the grant and aid funding that comes from Oregon Department of Corrections to the Community Corrections Office to provide parole and probation services. So this is what I have prepared here. I did present this 2 weeks ago at the LIPSIC meeting, the local public safety coordinating council meeting, which is a requirement of the state plan. It must be presented and in conjunction with the local public safety coordinating council. They didn't have any questions, and they have all so far voted for approval of the plan. So briefly, I'm not going to go over page by page, but this sets up the structure of our office in Crook County. As you're aware, we are a division of the sheriff's office, which about half the community corrections offices around the state are under the sheriff's office. This provides additional oversight as the sheriff is very involved with management of our division. I have broken down this year, as I believe you guys are aware, Crook County is receiving less funding from the state than we have in previous years. We are not alone in that. More than half of the community corrections offices around the state are receiving less funding. With that, as I prepared this plan, there are certain areas that we have funded in the past that we no longer can fund. Most of that has come out of, we've in the past paid for indigent clients that weren't able to afford VIP services. We would cover some of their costs to get into that treatment program. Unfortunately, that's a service that with tightening budgets that we will no longer pay for, and that's been taken out of this biennial plan that was in last biennial plans. The breakdown of our budget, the majority of our funds go to supervision general bucket, which covers salaries of POs, operation of the building, lights, all of our internal service fees, all of that. So that is about 75% of the money that we get from the state goes to that part. The rest of it does go for sanctioning beds to hold our clients accountable when they are not abiding by the conditions of their supervision.
So is a sanctioned bed an actual bed? Explain sanction and then the local control beds to me. I didn't quite
Okay.
understand what those
Yeah,
were.
so sanction beds are beds, so when a PO has a violation with somebody that they are supervising and they arrest them and take them to jail, that is money that's going directly to the jail that we pay for that bed for
Okay.
that night.
But they're in the jail.
They're in the jail, yes, and they're on a sanction. Local control beds are when somebody is sentenced to less than a year in prison, they, instead of going to the state institution, they do their time local. So they stay in our county jail. So say somebody commits a crime that they could go to prison, but the judge sentences them to 8 months of prison time. Instead of sending them all the way to Salem to then go into the DOC system, they would just stay in our local jail. And then, again, that's at per bed time.
Okay, so, and then that money goes to, okay,
Yeah.
got it, okay. Now, when you're talking about the program, the one that you talked about that you're not doing, what did that do when it was functioning?
So Better's intervention is still a program that Best Care runs and we still will use. Which is for people that are convicted of domestic violence.
Okay.
What our program, in the past, if somebody did not have a job, but they were ordered to do that, we would help assist them with the cost of that program, because that's a program that is not covered by Oregon Health Plan. Because it's not a substance abuse treatment or a mental health treatment. And in the court order, it says that the defendant must pay for that themselves. So, in those cases where it was indigent and they just could not come up with a job, or they had so much other stuff that they weren't able to engage in that program with funds to pay for it themselves, instead of letting them just not do what was ordered, we would help cover those costs.
So now what are we gonna do now if we are met with that same situation? How will can we still get them treatment or no, we can't?
So we will still refer them down there. They will be having to come up with a way to pay for that treatment.
Some way. And
Some
is
way,
that on
and-
Best Care then?
It's on the client, and if they don't, it's something that they're gonna have to go back and talk to the judge about. So it is unfortunate, it's one of those things, we didn't use a whole lot of that. But it's just one of those that we can't cover anymore. So it's the same as sex offender treatment, we haven't ever paid for sex offender treatment, but sex offender treatment's also the same way, it's not covered by any insurance. If somebody is convicted of that crime and they have to do treatment, they have to figure out a way to pay for that. So,
So let's say I can't pay and I go to the judges, what is a typical response that you'd expect a judge to do? Because how do you get, blood out of a turnip, I guess?
well, I don't try to question what, or how.
But no, but I mean, are they then just out? They're not gonna just let them out, are they?
No, they're gonna hold them accountable, and
There's gonna be
usually,
some
usually the first time they might get hey, you need to figure this out, and it's a requirement. If not, it's a condition of supervision, they could be revoked and sentenced to a term of either prison or jail time, so. So, prepared an executive summary, it just goes over the condition of our division and how things are going. But we also outline what services we are providing. We've always ran a pretty, tight ship, I guess. We've always had fairly limited budget. We haven't had large surplus at any point. So our programming, we're still able to do a lot of that in-house and provide the same level of services that we have in the past. It's just really kind of tightening up on some of the few areas that we will not be able to anymore. And then there's a description of all of the programs that we do offer. Unfortunately, we still do get grants from CJC to run specialty courts, both mental health court and drug court, along with justice reinvestment, which pays for our mental health tech that works in our office and in the jail. So those funds are still coming in this time. So that's kind of helps us still be able to provide some services that the general grant and aid funds are less, but we still are getting some additional funds. So,
How much is them Best Care opening the sober house helped you? Is that gonna be an asset to you or?
yeah, that will be an asset. Sober living is one of the struggles that we've had for
Sure.
years, finding places when somebody gets out of treatment to go and a safe, clean environment. So, we are starting to see some very positive benefits of that. I think they now have 3 of our clients in that house. So that's been a nice benefit to the community.
So do we do a motion to pass this?
My understanding is that what the obligation is to make the presentation.
Okay.
So you have been presented. I don't understand that this requires a formal adoption by the Board of Commissioners, but I could be wrong.
I don't believe it does. The formal adoption is the contract for the grant and aid, which we have actually signed, I believe, a month ago. That we accept the funds. This is more just so that you are aware of the program, aware of what we're doing with the funds and.
Well, thank you. You did a very good job.
Thank you.
And you do a good job in the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
You'll.
You have,
Jim.
you have a lot of things on your hips here.
I don't, they don't let me wear those things. I think they think lawyers should be armed. So I put this agenda item on the calendar. Wanted to publicly thank the sheriff's office. In specific, I wanted to focus on our jail. I don't think they often get the recognition that they deserve. And what prompted me to put this on was a particularly difficult case and defendant who
So everyone knows, this is Carrie Hawthorne, she's
Oh,
the district
sorry.
attorney.
forgot that part. What prompted me to put this on the agenda, was a particularly difficult case. We had 3 days of trial. The first day actually went mostly smoothly until, the judge convicted the defendant of the underlying crimes, and then it just went awry, from there. And what I will say is it became very obvious and actually very clear that it was intended at manipulation to try to push our corrections officers and our law enforcement to the point of responding, because historically this defendant has been successful at getting a response. I will tell you that after I went home after day 2 of trial and literally had to sit in silence for a moment. It was the most inhumane experience I had of dealing with somebody, of just the screaming, the name calling. And our jail dealt with that for over 2 months, daily, of this person trying to create incidents of use of force by smearing feces from one end to the other. Our jail is going to have to be decontaminated because he's put feces in the grates and the venting. It will have to be repainted. Every transport took multiple people because he would engage in self-harm or harm of others, threatening to spit on law enforcement, telling them that he had communicable diseases, throwing his papers on the floor and saying, "You're my overpaid butler, you pick it up." And quite frankly, a lot of the behaviors were, I'll say, enabled by our system, and gave him that ability. I don't know that I would have had that patience of what our jail deputies put up with, of him screaming at them, threatening to spit at them. I spent the last 2 days of the trial with sometimes our patrol deputy, because our jail was so short-staffed, with them standing between me and him and keeping all of our witnesses safe, our judges safe, me safe. And I knew with 100% certainty, if he turned, at one point he put his hands down his pants, threatening to, spread feces around the courtroom. And I 100% knew that deputy was going to stand in the way of me and anyone else in that courtroom. And some of the deputies, I don't even know, I watched body camera of their interaction with them. I don't even know who they were, because they had to be covered from head to toe in Tyvek suits with goggles on as they decontaminated the jail cell. This is one example of what our corrections officers experience on the regular. Granted, this was an extreme reaction and an extreme case, but they regularly are invested in the safety of our community. They listen to all of the jail calls. They'll contact me if they see a violation or something that's impacting the safety of a victim, or witness tampering. We call from court, no matter how short-staffed they are, no matter what they have going on in their own life, they're there in an instant. Carrie, what do you need? Deputy Bottoms down in our front desk, providing courthouse security. I can message him, he'll be there in an instant. Coming in and checking, can I do anything different? Do you have any other concerns? So, you know, time and time again, when we talked about the security of our old courthouse, in my time here since February of 2022, I've always been so impressed with the service of our sheriff's office, of the care, the heart, that we see from our jail, from our deputies, and all the way through the entirety of the organization. This case, the underlying case that I'm talking about was investigated by Prineville PD. They did a fabulous job, but I really want to highlight the ongoing housing. Our jail right now, we have, Bill said it at one point, we have a who's who in the jail, and it has been a very difficult summer of mental health / drug use / drug psychosis, violent behavior. And they go above and beyond to serve the community. And there didn't seem to be, like, what do you do? Give a plaque? Like, I mean, right? Like, I went home and I thought that has to be recognized, because that was awful, awful. I could smell it through the photos. He would cover his window to try to force the jail deputies to come in and have a use of force. So I know our jail, because they can't leave their post, because they're keeping our inmates safe, they're keeping our community safe, so they're online. Some of our jail is here. Lieutenant Rasmussen is a fabulous jail commander. You know, every time I call and say, can you help me with this? He always goes above and beyond. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody, and to recognize their efforts, and the really inhumane conditions that they lived in for 2.5 months, and say thank you. And I think Bill wanted to add on a little piece too.
I do, so, to add on to what Carrie said, I mean, how do you beat that? But, I'd also like to, recognize the jail staff because of, and Carrie mentioned that we listen to every phone call that comes into or goes out of the facility, and we read every piece of mail that comes in or out of the facility, that we're legally allowed to do, to keep a safe environment for, the people that are incarcerated in our jail. And I'd like to highlight one case. So, a couple of weeks ago, it was brought, and I don't know how it was brought to their attention, but reading mail and messages and phone calls and all the things, the jail staff were able to, put together that we have, a female that's in custody who is communicating with another person in custody, which is a violation of the rules. Through the investigation, we learned that the male that she's communicating with, who happens to be incarcerated in federal prison, they were able to track it down to the person was incarcerated in Alabama. But the messages that were coming in over the internet. And so knowing that that's a violation of standard rules in the federal system, the investigation led the jail deputies, and they did all of this on their own. They contacted the federal prison in Alabama, learned that they did not have access to any internet services there, which therefore led to a shakedown in the federal system. They were able to locate a cell phone that was smuggled into the prison. We have some theories on how that got there, but a cell phone that got smuggled into the prison in Alabama that was used then to communicate with one of our inmates, which therefore is going to probably bring that individual more, an additional crime with additional time in the federal prison. So because of the work of our jail staff and the diligence that they have in keeping everybody safe and doing work and doing that investigation, we're actually able to keep someone who's in federal prison probably away a little bit longer, and obviously stop the communication from entering into our facility.
I've worked in a lot of jurisdictions and the care and the service that our jail provides, I think is extraordinarily unusual. And we have a very special thing in here in Crook County and, I want from John all the way down, the sheriff's office really provides a great service to this community.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah.
All well done, gentlemen.
I think,
And it's a tough job, especially being in corrections. Dealing with those people, takes a special person to do that. It's a tough job, it's a hard job to fill. Somebody will be there a while and decide that it's too tough for them, so. We're pleased that you stick around and do the battle, because it's a tough job.
and I think you did a very, very good job, Carrie and Bill also, and I think Crook County, we're very, very lucky to have each and every one of you. So I thank you for keeping the citizens safe.
Thank you too, Carrie. That was not a fun trial.
No,
Oh
No.
my God, no, it
no, it
wasn't.
wasn't.
But I only had 3 days of it and they had 2.5 months of it. So-
Besides, he was in and out. They had more than that. He's been in there a few times. So they had a run in a couple of years with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say though that this, and I'll probably think I'm stealing words from Drew, but this day, he had more stamina than I've ever seen in anybody that was incarcerated. And behavior, and I wasn't in there, these guys were, but he had more stamina than anyone I've ever seen, and it was more than I've ever seen out of that, even that particular person, so.
Well, you guys definitely went above and beyond, and I really thank you.
Well, I don't wanna leave this meeting without saying this was a team effort. If it wasn't for everything the jail staff has done, our investigators have done in the field, and our DA's office, we would still have this person in our community creating havoc. And because of the DA's hard work of putting this case together, the person went away for 10 years. And that's a team effort that would not be accomplished if we didn't work together. So thank you for your work.
And I'm pleased that he did, because I don't know if he would have been able to hire another jailer.
Yeah, good riddance.
All right, thanks, I gotta run to another.
Thank you.
Okay.
Katie,
Good morning,
good morning.
Katie Plum, Health and Human Services Director for the county. This agenda item is our second amendment to the state contract with Oregon Health Authority to provide public health services in Crook County.
Can you put this up?
There were 3 fiscal amendments. One was a decrease in public health emergency preparedness funding. I did note in my agenda item request that I anticipate receiving that full amount for this fiscal year, and actually got word that we will, in one of our next amendments, receive that full.
So that isn't gonna be we are gonna get the 69,000.
Correct. They're pulling it back until the next amendment.
And
and then we'll get it. We'll get it
Okay.
back.
Okay.
We got our tobacco prevention education prevention award or program award that we anticipated. They just did all of their calculations on their end to get it officially into the contract.
I hate to stop you, but I'm gonna just ask while we're on the subject. So what do we do? What programs do we have for tobacco prevention education? Do we go to the schools? We have booths? How do we do that? What's the on the ground way we do it?
We have a full work plan that gets put together here locally and then gets approved by Oregon Health Authority to make sure we're in contractual
Sure.
compliance. We work with the Students Against Destructive Decisions program at the middle and high school. So that is a student volunteer program where the students plan the prevention and intervention activities, the direct activities at the school. We have, yes, we do outreach in the community around addiction awareness related, specifically related to nicotine. There's lots of movement around addressing new products that are on the market and making sure that there's awareness among parents and the community of those products and associated risks, especially with our young people. We work in the health systems around referrals to cessation resources. So we have a staff member designated to working with all of our clinicians actually in Central Oregon to provide supports for cessation services. We partner with pharmacies around nicotine replacement therapy. We have a subcontract currently with Mosaic Pharmacy to support nicotine replacement therapy and training with their pharmacists and other clinicians. So there's more in the work plan.
But that's a lot, okay, you
Yes.
answered that question, okay,
Because
check
this is-
that off, I just thought, I don't know what we do, so I just was kind of curious, okay.
It's one of our most adequately funded public health programs.
Mhm.
And so we have multiple staff members working in that. We put on multiple events. We do have in our work plan, a body of work around our perinatal population, so, pregnant and new families and working directly with those families around nicotine use. There's a lot of, behavioral health underpinnings with nicotine use, and so, finding compassionate ways to work. It's very stigmatized to be a new mom or a pregnant mom who uses tobacco, and so finding ways to support oftentimes people have to quit multiple times, right, in order for it to stick. And so supporting people through that process is part of this work plan as well. I mentioned our preparedness program, and then the other one adds some, it's opioid settlement dollars at the state level. They're investing in primary prevention work at the local level, so they've added some.
So that's
funding.
what OSPTR
The
is.
Oregon.
What is OSPTR board primary? I couldn't find that.
It is
so
the.
Can you explain that?
It
one
is
to me?
the state. They are the board that oversees the state opioid settlement funds.
Okay,
And how those are invested either at the local level or across
which
the state.
again, that increased, which is, yeah, amazing, okay.
It's $1,300, but
No, I mean,
$1,300 does
yeah,
just
yeah.
go a long ways. So yes, that's the extent of the changes in this amendment.
Okay, and then the other things, so we have $40,000 here for safe drinking water. So what are we doing with that 40? What do we do as a health department on that? Are we doing anything out there in Lamont with those people? How are we addressing
So
that?
those funds are for public water systems.
Okay, so they'd be more your city of Prineville
Mhm.
or Highland Water District in Juniper
Mhm.
Canyon, something
Yes.
like that,
Yeah.
okay. So if they had a problem, is that what we do? Are we going out there and testing water or?
Great, we have, we do testing on a regular cadence of those water systems and respond to any issues with
Okay,
those
so that
water
would be
systems.
public, so
Yeah.
not individual wells. And then down here where it said PE 36 prior comment null and void, I couldn't figure out what what is PE
P
36?
36 is our alcohol and drug
Okay,
prevention
it's still
program.
here, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
A lot of the comments in that bottom section
Yeah.
are around funding revisions and if so the state braids federal funds and state funds. So sometimes with all of the changes at the federal level, a portion of the funds will expire, or they'll have to say that they're expiring, like at the end of the federal fiscal year is one that happens quite a bit with our funding streams from the feds. So we have to spend a certain amount of money by a certain date. And so they'll note those changes.
Yeah,
And
cause
then
it says here, yeah.
and then if
okay.
they get an extension on that fund, they'll make a comment to say those funds will roll
And
over.
so how much of a decrease are we seeing because of the federal government not coming through? Or what is it, hitting your department with the Fed? I know Medicaid, but let's
Mhm.
just look at your services.
Right now, we haven't seen any reductions
So far, business as usual.
so far. I think
Okay.
the anticipation, I sent out a memo last night about what could happen to our women, infant, and children
Yeah, I
program
saw
in
that.
the event of a government shutdown, a federal government shutdown. So I'm anticipating any effects directly to us at the local level will come in the coming months and over the next, most likely next fiscal year.
Which is exactly what's with Medicaid too.
Correct.
We're waiting right there. Okay. So same, I saw your thing about the WIC thing and I was very concerned.
And these cuts going to be more state cuts than federal cuts?
The majority of we have a lot of federal funding that gets passed through Oregon Health Authority. So we'll see that trickle down effect. So if Oregon Health Authority is getting fewer federal dollars, in turn, we will get fewer.
The state's not going to make up any losses that they receive from the federal government.
No, and actually they're making cuts at the state level as well.
So on this other page, you had hospital preparedness program funds for the following healthcare coalition. I see Deschutes is in here in Jefferson, but we're not. So what is that? And is that something that we should strive to be part of? I have no idea what it
That
is.
is an excellent question. Because we don't have that body of funds, I'm not familiar with the program element.
Okay, I
But
just,
I can dig.
it was just because I saw the other two counties, it triggered, where are we? Okay, alrighty. Okay, and then you answered that question because I didn't know the acronym. Acronyms are killers in health. They're like a new zoo, okay? And then on the TB thing, so on the TB thing, I know they did this whole exhibit and whatever. First, how much are we seeing TB in the county? Are we seeing active cases here? How come I know? Thank you.
We're not currently. So a lot of these funds to help support our staffing, because we have to have
Sure.
consistent staffing and trained folks to respond if and when we do.
If there was.
Yes.
And do people like in employment now still require a TB time test?
Yes,
So do you guys administer or is the individual doctor or Mosaic or how does that?
oftentimes we do it.
I was gonna say,
Mhm.
because I remember
Yeah.
at the hospital that, okay, all right. Thank you, Katie. You made all the acronyms make sense to
I
this.
don't even
little-
know if I actually
Still-
gave you the full definition
Well,
of that one.
It's okay. I got it.
I can get
Thank
it.
you very much for that because I was really lacking there. I was searching.
Okay, oh,
So consent agenda next week.
So I was gonna say, is that what we need is to do a motion? And then this is really gonna be pretty much up in the air because we're not sure what's gonna happen.
I'm sure
in
we'll get a
January.
third through.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we average 18, 19 amendments.
That sounds about right.
At least a biennium.
Yeah.
So we'll see more. And the consent agenda, if that's,
Okay.
that totally works for the timing of this.
that's fine with me.
Hey. You have another?
Okay,
one?
me again. I chair the Community Health Advisory Council. And at our last meeting on August 4th, we reviewed bylaws. Our staff support had gone through and made mostly cleanup edits in order to really clarify how we're adhering to public meeting law. And it also clarified or sought to clarify our statutory requirements for the purpose and mission of the group. A lot of the red line was combining points that were duplicative and doing some language changing, but there was no substantive changes other than to clarify, again, mostly around our statutory requirements and public meeting law. And so the advisory council voted in their August 4th meeting to present it to you all for adoption.
Okay. Which again, I think can just go on the consent agenda because I didn't have any, I read it. I don't have any questions. I think you did a good job. Good job.
That was our staff support for that group is excellent, and the work of the appointed members was
Looks like you have a good advisory council.
We do, and in our next meeting, first Monday in October, we have, I believe, 4 new applicants who have requested to be considered for appointment.
Good for you.
Finally getting through that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
thank
yeah.
you. Very
Taking
much.
that committee and
Yes.
having a rebirth. You're
Yep.
doing good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. John.
Good morning, commissioners. A couple things.
I'm gonna bail on you, sorry.
Couple things on the agenda. The first one is the comment period for FEMA has set the deadline for the comment period of their integration of the Endangered Species Act into the National Flood Insurance Program. The deadline is October 6th. And I believe I have Katie McDonald on the phone to share an update.
Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Thanks,
Perfect.
Katie.
Thank you. So, as you know, the FEMA buy-up has been a long time coming. I gave Brianna,
Which one do you want, Katie? I didn't know which website to go to first.
the FEMA buy-up, the Tillamook County FEMA buy-up.
Okay. Mm. Sorry, this is not the right one. Oh wait, this. Here?
Yes.
Okay.
So, John and I were at a county planning director meeting and received an update from Tillamook County. They are pretty heavily invested in seeing this FEMA buy-up, and as it affects 30% of their county is in mapped special flood hazard areas. So it is very diligent for them. They've done a really good job with putting all the information in one spot for folks. And FEMA's websites are kind of all over the place, and you have to download multiple versions. So there's a YouTube link on their presentation, which goes into a lot of the nuts and bolts of the program. The basic tenet of this is that the FEMA has done the bio, and that impacts what mitigation and what options folks can do for development in the special flood hazard areas. Our special flood hazard areas in Crook County are going to be on fish-bearing streams, and mainly like Crooked River and the reservoirs. There are some things that if you go to Brianna, can you go to her PowerPoint?
Let's see, where's it at?
I think it's the up thing, the slide presentation, isn't it?
Right here?
Right there.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. You just tell me where you want me to go and I'll do it.
Thank you. And I apologize for not being there. My family has been very ill this week, so I don't want to spread anything. If we can go to page 3. This is where we are in the process, and it is this public comment period. The comment period is due October 6th. There's a couple different ways that people can make those comments known, and the more public input, the more that they're going to be able to listen. I have attended 2 of the 3 open houses that they had, and there was very little public participation and very little public comment at that point. What they're trying to get to is a no net loss standard, and it's really no net loss. If you go to page 5, shows that it would apply to development, and it really goes to flood storage, water quality, and vegetation. Really trying to identify what those would look like. They're asking for public comment on what they're doing. So if you go to page 8, so alternative 1 is no action. Alternative 2 is the FEMA's pathway of A through D. And that's the page 7 there is A through D. However, there's a caveat with that that says if you're getting approval through another federal regulatory agency, such as like the Army Corps of Engineers, or your project raises to another federal review level, that there would be like an exception piece. And then alternative 3 is utilizing one of those A through D options. One thing that they took away in the options was when we needed to do the pick'em, if you remember what the pick'em was, but we had to choose an alternative, and one of them was a permit by permit process. So the local jurisdiction could review each permit on its own merits and see best practices. FEMA with this BIOP has said, nope, we're going to do, it needs to be one of these. So it either needs to be no action, alternative 2, 1 A through D with that federal exception, or 3, no exceptions for any projects, and one of those options needed. So if you go one more slide, this is a FEMA slide that she put together, and these are the examples of any project that meets the FEMA definition of development. And you can see that there's quite a bit in here that could potentially be additional regulation for anything within that special flood hazard area. What FEMA has said is that they're not saying you can't develop. They're just regulating the additional mitigation that would need to be done. So they're not thinking that this is a takings and would not require that notice. But this is FEMA, and to their credit, has done a better job with this public engagement as far as like putting out different examples. Just to give a reference for the mining and dredging, filling and grading, a dump truck carries approximately 10 cubic yards. So even a dump truck would require that. If you could go to slide 15, that would be great. Another aspect of this is tree removal. And so they've again done this is another FEMA slide here, that if you remove one tree, how would you mitigate that? And it would need to be within the same reach of that floodplain or that watershed. So, and this is just a graphic that if you remove one tree, could be replanting up to 10. How that would work in our area where we don't have a lot of tree stability, most of it is, most of our special flood hazard area is not in a place where there are trees, so how would that work in our area? It doesn't make a lot of sense, for us and in the city especially, it could potentially mean that you don't have enough space on your own property to then develop. So again, one more slide down. The public comment period is really what they're asking for is which alternative makes sense. And Tillamook County, they've bolded the alternative number 1, which is no action at this time, because FEMA has really provided an all or nothing type of scenario with the biop, and it's very difficult for them to have those conversations at a local level. Another slide of interest is slide 21, and this is the more of the financial aspect and the public process, the dollars. FEMA has said they're available for technical assistance, not additional funding. So they will be available to help assist at the beginning. But then after a certain time period, they would not be continuing in that. And these are just some of the dollar figures that would go with. It could range anywhere from 60,000 to $1 million to be going through all of these regulations that they are putting together. The Oregonians for floodplain protection, which is slide 26. Illustrates the resource. It's the no action, the alternative 2 and the alternative 3. And it really goes to speak to, is there a benefit or a loss to the different resources? And one of those is land development, use and value, and economic impacts, which is more of the human aspect of that, along with the public and critical infrastructure and transportation. So as you can see, those are more short-term benefits. But again, FEMA's options here are really an all or nothing benefit. And then if you go to page 28, please. So this is pretty helpful in like directing people on how to submit comments. And there's 3 paths that the county and we can take, right? The first is we can ask for more time, right? We can submit comment on program specific issues, which could come from the community development department. And the third is to see how this plays out. If you go down one more slide, there is a public meeting room, a virtual public meeting room where folks from the public, commissioners, anyone can go in and submit comments. They can go around the room and look at the different boards and information that FEMA has provided. At this time, I think that community development could really submit some process specific comments. But overall, no action alternative is where I see the most value for that. And then the last slide are links to the meetings. And there is another meeting on September 30th from 6 to 8. So I think that's all from me. John, do you have anything to add?
You did a great job, Katie. I think, just for me, as I went through this slide presentation, can you scroll up to like the middle? There's a picture with a dump truck. The mitigation requirements they're asking for, just kind of brought it home, but basically there was a study that said that to comply with mitigation.
Page 11.
Yeah, so that one's good. So say someone wants to build a 1,500 square foot home with a 20 by 40 foot driveway. For mitigation, if they're doing on-site, it's basically a 1-for-1. If they're doing off-site, they have to double it, and so that would require anywhere between 12 and 25 dump trucks to mitigate. It would require the average single-family house to purchase a new parcel to do mitigation because there's not enough room on the average size of a parcel. The mitigation cost in some of these would exceed the cost of the project itself, and so land development purposes, we have an affordable housing crisis. I understand what they're trying to do with this program, but any of the paths, other than the no action alternative, I think would be very burdensome for people in the community. So we could also, you guys could write a letter saying we need more time to comment, and the community development department could also write a letter recommending the no action alternative. I'm sure that we aren't the only ones that have concerns about this. We have a lot less floodplain area than a lot of the jurisdictions across the state. And so I imagine we would be one in a chorus of comments. But I'm open to your direction, whatever you'd like to do.
I don't know why we would write for more time. I think I'm for the number one alternative. And I was the one, so when I was at AOC conference last year, I was the one that sat in until did this, and then I told Will, got them in touch and listened to their presentation. And so I'm very adamant that we just go with the alternative one and write a letter directing that. And I don't know that we need any more time. My position hasn't changed from last, when is County College, November, till now.
What was the other alternative that was up to begin with, but then they took that away?
That was the permit by permit. So basically we didn't need to change our ordinance. We just would consult and make sure they had whatever they needed from the federal government on that. The litigation is still ongoing. I think I haven't looked into it closely, but I know, more time, that litigation might be resolved and take care of the issue for us.
Is that a better way then, that we ask for more time until that litigation? I mean, like I say, my mind hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So I am for alternative one, but is it better for us as the county for us to ask for the more time? I'm not sure. How do we balance that?
Well, we wouldn't be limited to one. So I think policy wise, I think it makes sense for community development to write a letter recommending the no action alternative. But then board of commissioners could write a letter saying, there's litigation here. This is very complex. You guys should slow down and let the litigation play out before you try to implement this EIS.
So litigation could benefit us.
Yes.
Yeah, it could toss the whole thing out.
So,
Okay.
so I why sign up for something unless you absolutely have to? Till you know what the end results are.
Yeah. So who would draft the letter Eric, is that something you draft the letter for that we want to wait and have more time until litigation is settled?
I would probably have to confess, this is beyond my expertise, so at the risk of being a heel, I might suggest.
Say John.
John and Katie.
Sorry,
I have to
John.
confess that between now and October 6th, our plate overfloweth significantly. So we can definitely draft a letter for community development. I can see if I can find the time to draft a letter on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. It would be short and sweet, to the point, but
That is totally fine
I'm
with
giving my
me.
best shot. I just can't make any promises today.
So that would be my instructions to follow your,
The one issue then is timing wise, right? If we want to write a letter, public process, we need to have it October 6th, I believe.
That's a Monday.
That's a Monday, and so it doesn't work out well with our
Well,
meeting calendars.
we do have a meeting next week.
or can we instruct you to draft a letter on behalf of the county for us to ask for more time, which can be signed out of court?
I would defer to county council on that specific question.
So I think, so we're confronting several things there. It sounds like the county knows what it wants to do. We just don't have a great deal of bandwidth at the moment, and having future discussion may not be productive. So maybe what you do is a motion to delegate authority to someone to sign on behalf of the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
That gives them time until it's due on October 6th to get the matched words included. And it won't require that it comes back to you to be circulated for signature.
I would make a motion to have Brian as our chair of the Board of Commissioners to be the one to sign. And I don't know if I did the appropriate, as the letter, short and sweet, from John Eisler that says that we're looking for more time to see the result of the litigation.
I'll second that. Motion's been made and seconded. For the discussion,
No discussion.
all in favor, say aye.
Herman, aye.
Barney, aye. So moved.
Thank you.
Thank
Christopher.
you, John, very much.
All right, next item. Mr.
I also
Davis?
want to thank
Can we have a
Tillamook for all
2-second,
that they have
2-minute
done.
break?
Tillamook has done tremendous on this, and even their presentation last year at the conference was really very good.
I don't know what percentage of Tillamook County is floodplain, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
So it's a
yeah.
huge deal.
You know, I think that they've done a tremendous amount of work, so I want to compliment them for being the forefront of this entire thing, really.
There's so much going on. It's a very complicated issue. It's,
Yeah.
I'm very
And
glad
again,
someone's spearheading
I
it.
think the letter can be totally very, very short and sweet, because this is what we're doing. We're asking for more time. You're doing your alternative, and I think that's great. And Brian signs it, and we put our 2 cents in. I just hate to not respond.
Yeah.
This is too important of an issue.
It's gone. I also want to thank her for being a trooper and presenting this morning. She does not feel well at all.
Yeah, yeah. Hope you feel better soon, Katie.
Thank you.
She has to power through for our planning commission meeting tonight, so
Oh dear.
hopefully she'll find time to take a nap.
Oh dear. Yeah, you better go take a nap now, Katie.
Okay, next, community development monthly report.
That's correct. Start off with Randy over here.
You'll have to excuse me, I've got allergies, they just won't go away in a week. So building side, we did 226 permits, 31 new houses in August. Our permit numbers, over since last year, we're ahead of last year, so about 40. I mean, it's not a huge jump, but it's kind of shown us a normal benchmark, like we talked with what normal construction activity can be here. We're working on 1,300 open active permits, 186 houses that are still under construction. 801 other residential type permits, 324 commercial permits. Still averaging, we're at not 800 to 1,000 inspections a month, site visits. And not a ton going on other than, the new manufacturing facility that's broke ground up on top of the grade. Over further across from Facebook, it's caused a lot of questions, not bad questions, but everybody's asking, what's that building, what's going on up there, there's another data center, but. That's just a big manufacturing facility.
What are they gonna manufacture?
It's a company that manufactures like platforms and lifts for aircrafts.
Oh, okay,
So they've actually, I think some of them for the Navy and stuff like that, they got lifts for like the F-16, stuff like that. But
interesting.
I think when they maintain them or paint them or something, there's a metal platform, so pretty big, could be a pretty big operation up there.
Big operation, a lot of jobs. I think they're coming from Deschutes, right? Aren't they moving?
Did not hear.
So yesterday I was talking to the president of the new president of COCC, and he was saying the need for welding right now is extreme, because he was asking, what can we do? And I said, one of the things that we don't have, but I'd like to see is trade schools, because trade schools, we have people, they raise their children here, the children want to stay, our demographics, are more towards the older people. And if we could do that, and he said, that's funny you mentioned that, because everybody's asking about welding. And at the Owens Corning job fair, they actually, Baysex had a lady that stood outside and would say, are you a welder? And if you were a welder, you were whipped right in. So seems to me, there's a factory that I'm assuming on a lift and whatever, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting thing, and that was one of the things we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, they're putting paint booths, sandblasting booths.
Sure.
Dust collection in it, so it'll be, it's a big building, so. But other than that, I mean, the apartments on Matters Highway, they've came and got a couple of their permits. So we should see activities going on there now, so. And we got their construction schedule. And then, the one behind the mill is still just cruising along. So we've got staff members out, this week, those last 2 weeks, we've been pretty, Sean tore a bicep, but. So he had surgery, he was out, we're out of an A-level electrical inspector this week, but we had to shoot city event and, on call for us if we need to call anybody in. But kind of bare bones scraping by on the inspection this week for our team.
Yeah, I'll chime in that the numbers are really impressive considering the personnel constraints that the building departments had. So cranking away. Very impressive.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Randy.
On my side, I'll try to keep things short and sweet if I can. Planning side, applications were down actually. We only had 30 in the month of August. If you remember, we had quite a few in June and July, and so they've been working through that. And we've also had some kind of bigger projects on the plate. Certainly no time to relax. We are now a tiny bit down year to date, still up, or fiscal year to date, but still up year to date for the calendar year on the planning side. Some of the bigger projects, no, I'm calling it Roche. This is Moffett Solar. We're going to be having deliberations on that tonight. We're having also tonight with the planning commission hearing will be the TSP to hear that recommendation. Wheeler subdivision has been approved and signed. The Palabutte child care facility has been continued. I think we have a date certain for that. Zone map change on October 8th, code updates October 22nd. We might have another code update in a special meeting on the 29th. Basically have stacked planning commission hearings for the foreseeable future with multiple items on each agenda. We got an appeal of a non-farm decision adjacent to Juniper Acres. We'll be hearing that on November 12th. And then, we got that Verizon Towner application. Will probably be heard sometime in November. On the city side, I think since this has been written, I think I heard that the best care facility has been remanded back to the city by Luba. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. We have the gym, the chapel, and the RV park.
Did Luba make a decision on that that?
I didn't read it. I think I heard that the issue was, so since it deals with housing, that the zone standards applied weren't clear and objective. Even though it's like an industrial zone, I think, I believe, and so I don't have the facts, but it was something in that neighborhood of what the issue was.
And my second thing is as you've been doing your solar, have you had more public input? Have you had people show, I mean, because there was such a thing, I'm just wondering, have you had any of it?
Not to the extent that we had it at that last comp plan exception. We haven't tonight, the record's closed, we'll see what happens.
This often, really.
Yeah, yep. This one has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I know you had, there was ownership and all, but I'm just asking about the social implications. You haven't seen the testimony that came up. Okay, interesting. Thank you.
I guess we haven't had one where the record's been open to get comment over the last couple, last month or two, so maybe that would be different if we had a new application come in, but which we have requests for meetings for those, so we'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah. On-site, equally impressive is building side numbers are way up, 34 for the month of August, compared to just 14 last year. And during this time, I know that Chris has been helping out Jefferson County and also up in the Gorge area. And so those numbers are good. I guess they reflect that people are moving forward with their property development here. And so we're now pretty high up on year to date and fiscal year to date for on-site code compliance. I know Lewis had a few hearings in the month of August. We're pretty steady over there with 8 open and 5 closed. Those are the numbers that we have. One additional thing that I wanted to bring up is something that I've had to deal with, staff's had to deal with, if not on a daily basis, at least a weekly basis, is our standards for what's a dwelling versus what's an accessory structure. It's a very, very difficult thing to kind of hone in exactly where that line is. Our practice had been informally just to say that it couldn't have an oven, and that it was what was depicted on the plans. We would get many plans where the architect would write, bedroom, kitchen, laundry, and then in pen by the applicant would be scribbled out and say storage, storage, storage. And then obviously it's quite easy to bring an oven in.
Don't be laughing so hard.
Don't be laughing. It's my laugh now, Eric.
Eric, he is very happy.
So we have a housing crisis. We need to make sure we have affordable housing. We have extremely complicated land use rules that make sure this is done the right way. Part of the issue is that the going through the front door of, where you can, getting an ADU or trying to get another residence is complicated and expensive. And then DEQ made new rules for septics for ADUs. And one of the issues is that the more burdensome you make it for people to do things the right way, the more you incentivize them to do it the wrong way. This leads to, infrastructure concerns, life, health, and safety concerns. These are not structures that really should be dwellings. And so we've been working on this for months, but I'm to the point where we need to do something. And so I plan on bringing a code amendment that as good as we can possibly do, defines exactly what a dwelling is. There's no more confusion, no more uncertainty, and is fair to the parties. And so if you guys have any questions or concerns about that, I encourage you to reach out to me. It's probably coming forward in the next couple of months. That's our update.
Good job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah, you
that.
guys did a good
Thanks,
job.
John, and thank you, Randy.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Manager's report. Will, do you have anything?
I don't have anything this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything
I don't
either.
have anything either, no executive session, so motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Conrad, aye.
Arnie, aye. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thanks.
See you next week.
Thanks.